coup d'etats are not mere ambitious men in uniform simply for ambitious sake taking power. It's not. This is not happening in Africa, I think, at least in our time. Most of the protocols which really justify, which stipulate sanction as an instrument of stopping unconstitutional change of government were targeted in different social political conditions. Now the coup d'etats happening in our time are happening in a very different, dynamic, turbulent political social conditions, which I would compliment what Professor Yonas has said. Sometimes it has relation with the crisis of international relations of Africa itself. The Western military men are operating and changing governments and intervening. It is a matter of sovereignty sometimes. Sometimes it is these coup d'etats we hear from the people are a response to colonial conditions in our time. So AU's old documents, AU's old constitutions, and which stipulate instrument to respond to coup d'etat has to be revised. We need a new protocols. We need a new response. First, to tackle the crisis, the structural problem between state and society in Africa, which we all Africans share. The nation state is failing. It's a crisis. So we are not building a stable political community in each country in Africa. Yes, some countries remain stable, but the problem is there. So if we have to think seriously about reform when it comes to AU, it has to speak to Africa itself. What is the problem? What are the major contradictions between state and society in Africa, which led to coup d'etats, which led to civil wars, which led to corruption? So we cannot sanction corruption, but we sanction coup d'etat. But all are a result of one structural contradiction between the society. So African Union has to prioritize each agenda of the contradiction between the state and society in the continent, which the founding fathers of Africa already told us. They told us about the pitfalls of national consciousness, the pitfalls of exclusion and the non-pluralistic political system. So that has to be addressed at the continental level, but also in line with each state's political agenda and aspiration. But above all, AU has to speak to the world in one voice, in one unified Africa. AU has to play that role. The resonator of African Union is to speak in one voice to the world. That is also the partition of Africa has left its legacy. The Francophone armies or the French armies or this army and that army are operating.